but he would, no, so he'd suddenly start filming my hands or my feet. But what was interesting is that to him in that moment, my hands were telling so much more of the story than my face. And so really, I had to be so much more, it was sort of chicken or the egg. I don't know if I was more alive and awake as an actor because every part of me was up for grabs while he's filming. My mom will call 7 times in a row. She's that person. She's the one who thinks that like on time 6, you just like didn't see that she was calling. So she's just gonna keep calling.
He says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime. And she's like, come on over. I'm feeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over. Like it's written there, black and white. She invited him in, and a lot of women are comfortable having someone around when they breastfeed. So it's not so weird, especially out in Hollywood, for him to assume, yeah, I guess she's fine with this because she did let him in. Ryan Reynolds comes off terribly. He had them over to their penthouse in New York, and Taylor Swift was believed to be there, according to this latest complaint. Not within the purview of an actress. And then after that, they have text messages in which Blake tells Justin, this is in the latest lawsuit, you know, I know you've never watched Game of Thrones, but when you get around to watching it, you'll realize I'm Khaleesi and these are my dragons. And I have the best dragons in the business, right? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift.
Oh my. And Megyn Kelly has transformed into an absolute force to be reckoned with. She's coming after Blake with everything she's got, systematically exposing every single fabrication Blake has ever told. And let me tell you, the evidence Megyn's presenting, it's absolutely devastating to Blake's entire case, shattering it into a million pieces. I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that
will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
You can rest assured that based on the investigation we've done, the text messages we have, the receipts that'll go along with that complaint, she's dead in the water.
And here, every single word dropping one bombshell after another that proves Blake has been manipulating the truth from the very beginning. But wait, because this gets even more shocking. Blake's true motivations, they might be far more sinister and self-centered than any of us could have possibly imagined. Lai was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film. Let's dive into how Blake's been playing this dirty game, from manipulating her relationships with Taylor Swift and her husband Ryan Reynolds to pressure Justin Baldoni to making outrageous ultimatums about boycotting an entire production if her demands weren't met. It's absolutely scandalous. Such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the days, wanted to do her own cut, and did her own.
Such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the dailies, wanted to do her own cut, and did her own cut of the movie. All this is very unusual for just an actress in the film, even if she's the lead, and that she's now tried to turn this whole thing into a PR victory for her to get past what appears to be the fact that she is an egotistical.
Battle Blake Lively apparently had this entire calculated scheme planned from the very beginning. By now, everyone knows about Blake filing that lawsuit against Justin, accusing him of harassment and attempting to damage her reputation. But here's the twist: Justin didn't just take it lying down, he fired back with his own lawsuit, claiming Blake is the one orchestrating this whole smear campaign against him. But trust me when I tell you, this story has layers upon layers of complexity that will leave you absolutely stunned. Before we get into all these newly leaked messages and evidence, we need to go back to where this whole mess really started, because despite what Blake wants everyone to believe, this didn't begin with Justin Baldoni at all. No, this traces back to when Blake's reputation took a massive hit after some serious public backlash. And here's the kicker: it wasn't Justin who caused it, it was her own attitude that turned her fans against her. Let me break this down for you. When Blake was promoting It Ends With Us alongside Justin, people started picking up on some really concerning vibes from her. Her fans got curious, started doing some digging, and oh my goodness, what they uncovered was absolutely shocking. Often happens when these stars drop a movie, people start digging around for other interviews of them, etc., and it was just sort of a course of, well, like, she seems like kind of a jerk, wow, she's like kind of a bully, she's rather mean, you know how it goes. Whenever celebrities release a new movie, people naturally start looking up their old interviews and such, and what emerged was truly eye-opening. Wow, she comes across as really unpleasant, she's actually quite a bully, she's surprisingly mean. So in a desperate attempt to salvage her image, Blake jumped on her high horse, pointing fingers at Justin and his PR team, claiming they were behind all these negative stories about her. And in true Please Love Me Again fashion, she ran to the New York Times trying to flip the entire narrative and paint Justin as this terrible villain while portraying herself as this innocent victim. But here's where it gets really juicy. We now have concrete evidence that the New York Times actually manipulated text messages and conveniently left out crucial details to make Justin look as bad as possible. Can you believe the audacity? Literally we moving texts in between texts and emojis to sort of make it sound worse, but hold on just a minute, because doesn't this whole scenario feel eerily familiar? She has made herself into the new Amber Heard, and he is the new Johnny D. It's giving major flashbacks to when Amber Heard tried pulling the exact same stunt with Johnny Depp back in 2018. Remember that notorious piece she wrote in The Sun, painting him as this terrible monster while casting herself as this helpless victim, and now wouldn't you know it, Amber's actually out here showing support for Blake like they're sisters in arms or something. But Blake really messed up by taking pages from Amber's disastrous playbook. I mean, did she completely forget how that whole situation ended for Amber? Now he's going full Johnny Depp on her show that she was the bully, she was the one, him, and this guy who had comparatively very little power was forced now to come out and tell the truth about Blake L. Just like Amber, Blake's biggest mistake was thinking we're all completely clueless and would fall for this act, because honey, even though she's running around claiming Justin and his PR team are trying to make her look bad in interviews, we've all seen the footage. We can see plain as day how rude and dismissive she is with interviewers. But he would so he suddenly start filming my hands or my feet. But what was interesting is that to him in that moment my hands were telling so much more of the story than my facey eye, and I had to be so much more. It was sort of chicken of the egg. I don't know if I was more alive and awake as an actor, because every part of me was up for grabs while he's filming. My mom will call 7 times in a row. She's that person. She's the one who thinks that like on time 6 you just didn't see that she was calling, so she's just going to keep calling. We've all witnessed how she constantly makes everything about herself, like that one time when they were asking about her husband. But Blake somehow managed to turn it into a commercial for her hair care line. Turned around and you were just supportive of Ryan. What is it like to my hair care company, Blake Brown? My goodness gracious, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy. And what's perhaps most shocking of all is how completely tone deaf she is to the movie's serious themes, and how little regard she seems to have for real victims. Just watch this next clip and you'll see exactly what I mean is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their life. So if someone understands the themes of this movie comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it? Like asking for my address or my phone number, or my location share? I could just location share you, and then we could is it any wonder her fans turned their backs on her? And just like Johnny Depp's legal team absolutely demolished Amber Heard's case, Justin Baldwin's lawyers are getting ready to completely destroy Blake Lively's credibility. You seriously can't make this stuff up. Going to sue Blake Lively too into oblivion. Megyn, wait till you see this lawsuit. Oh, and here's a delicious little detail for you. Megyn Kelly's lawyer, well, guess what? He's also representing Justin Baldoni. But remember what we said from the beginning, this isn't just Blake scrambling to save face. No. It's looking more and more like this whole thing might have been her calculated master plan from day one to snatch Justin Baldwin's movie right out from under him. And the best part, we got mountains of evidence, text messages between Justin and Blake, plus messages between Justin, the producers and editors, that prove everything. She used these allegations of sexual harassment, and she used these allegations of bullying to try and leverage her position so she could be the DO director. Let me paint this picture for you. Justin Baldoni, who wasn't just the lead actor but also wrote and directed this film, was absolutely blindsided when Blake went behind his back and created her own version of the film's director's cut. And get this, nobody was allowed to see it. Talk about a power move. Executive producer to have a competing cut of a film is incredibly bizarre. But when she starts threatening people and saying, I'm not going to promote the film, I'm not going to do anything unless you use my cut, that's when it starts to be awfully incendiary. But that's just scratching the surface. Justin was even more shocked when he discovered that Blake's husband Ryan Reynolds had somehow gotten involved in writing some of the film's scenes, and let me tell you, that is completely inappropriate, and nobody even bothered to run it by Justin. First iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know. And if you thought that was shocking, wait until you hear this. Justin was literally forced into the basement with his own friends and family during the premiere of his own film. Can you even imagine the disrespect could have Been one of the most beautiful nights of my life career-wise, and literally was sent to the basement with all my friends and family for over an hour, because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her. Or the rest of the cast. Blake Lively was such a brat that her and Ryan Reynolds specifically requested during the premiere that they so did not want him to attend his own. All of this just proves that Blake's entire agenda was to hijack the film and make sure all eyes were on her and only her. But karma's coming around because the tables are slowly turning and things are starting to look really bad for Blake. Justin's lawyer is armed with so many receipts they're about to completely bury her documents. Actually, don't lie, people do. And it's important that everyone sees all of the documents that are involved in the case, because there are people that have been destroyed as a result of the allegations that have been made so far in this case. Now let me spill the tea about some of these lies. We're catching her, and Blake tried to accuse Justin of invading her personal space and showing up uninvited when she was undressed or with her baby. But these newly leaked text messages, oh honey, they're telling a completely different story. Looking at Blake's own message to Justin, she actually invited him to her trailer while she was pumping milk for her baby. The proof is right there in black and white in Justin's response. He didn't exactly seem eager to rush over while she might have been in a compromising position. This clearly shows that Blake set these boundaries herself. There was nothing uninvited about it. It's just an example of how she loves to play the victim. And then the one about, oh, he burst in on me uninvited when I was breath my child, that she says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime, and she's like, come on over, I'm faying the baby in the trailer, but come on open. Then there's this wild accusation Blake made against Jamie Heath, Justin's best friend and lead producer. She claimed he showed her highly inappropriate and even pornographic material. Now Blake spun this whole thing like she was some innocent victim of harassment, but guess what? She conveniently left out of her lawsuit. The video Jamie showed her was actually a birthing scene of his own wife giving birth. When that, cause so often we see births in movies and TV and they just look so fake. It's like a 3-month-old baby that comes out, and I just wanted it to feel very real. And here's the truth, the footage was actually quite artistic, meant to capture the beauty of childbirth in a tasteful way. There was absolutely nothing pornographic or harassing about it, but let's just call it what it is. Blake's story is full of holes. He showed her a still shot from his wife's delivery of their child, which I've also seen. You can't see any R-rated parts at all. It's actually a really lovely artistic photo. Now let me tell you about another outrageous accusation Blake threw at Justin. She claimed he made inappropriate comments about her weight and body, basically accusing him of fat shaming her. The drama got so intense that Ryan Reynolds allegedly summoned Justin to his penthouse, where he reportedly went off swearing and scolding him. But that's not even the craziest part. Blake didn't just drag her husband into this mess. Oh no, she apparently used her bestie Taylor Swift to manipulate and berate Justin in more leaked messages. Blake even threatened Justin, claiming she was the great Kasai from Game of Thrones and that Ryan and Taylor were her dragons. Just listen to how ridiculous it sounds when Megyn Kelly puts it all into perspective. He says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime, and she's like, come on over, I'm feeding the baby in the trailer. But come on over, like it's written there black and white. She invited him in, and a lot of women are comfortable having someone around when they breastfeed, so it's not so weird, especially out in Hollywood, for him to assume. Yeah, I guess she's fine with this cause she did let him in. Ryan Reynolds comes off terribly. He had them over to their penthouse in New York and Taylor Swift was belly D to be there, according to this latest complaint, not within the purview of an actress. And then, after that, they have text messages in which Blake tells Justin, this is in the latest lawsuit, I know you've never watched Game of Thrones, but when you get around to watching it, you'll realize I'm she and these are my dragons, and I have the best dragons in the business, right? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor's. But clearly Blake missed how Game of Thrones ended, because things didn't work out too well for that character, did they? I'm sorry, Blake Way comparing to Ki has to be one of the wildest cases of self-fulfilling prophecy I've seen to date. Like, everyone's making fun of her for saying that. But what's more Kasai than being a once beloved public figure who stood to win it all and lost it in a fiery rage? Like it is giving twin. She's absolutely accurate, and just like in Game of Thrones, in the end those dragons did not mean sh. Here's what actually happened. Justin asked his personal trainer about Blake's weight because he has serious back issues, and there was a scene where he had to lift her. It was purely about safety, no fat shaming involved. The leaked messages even show how incredibly supportive Justin was when Blake expressed concerns about her post-pregnancy body image. An intimacy coordinator's job is to be there to facilitate the filming of existing and agreed upon intimacy. Okay, they're there to basically like broker and manage consent and safety. That's what they're there for now. Regarding the intimacy coordinator situation, Blake's claims are falling apart in her lawsuit. She states there wasn't one present for intimate scenes, claiming just an improvised physical contact without proper choreography or discussion with Justin also was off the chart. And like you always have a vision, so talk to about how sometimes you were even the intimacy coordinator in some of those sexier scenes like we saw you. That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have. They could, but here's where it gets interesting. Blake contradicted herself in interviews where she explicitly mentioned having an intimacy coordinator on set. The text messages between her and Justin show she wasn't concerned about this issue at all. Initially, instances where I honestly just tried to get out of the way and let her take the lead, and especially when it came to intimacy and all of that, like she had a very clear vision and she was telling me what she thought would work, what she thought. Honestly, there were many instances on set where I just let the women figure it out, and I took a step back and I kind of jumped in more as an actor in those scenes than even as a director. The evidence keeps mounting. There's even footage showing Blake directing Justin during their kissing scenes. Her body language clearly shows she was in control, not Justin. Now let's examine one specific scene she mentions in her lawsuit. Well, it's not bad, it's the most damaging evidence. Blake claimed no sound was recorded during a particular scene, but Justin's lawyer released the actual footage with sound completely contradicting her version of music events. Just when you think it couldn't get more dramatic, Blake now trying to get a gag order against Justin and his lawyer to prevent them from releasing more evidence. She's had her shot against him, and she's severely damaged him with that New York Times piece in this complaint, which she managed to get leaked. Now she wants a complete gag order. Poor Blake. Why should Justin be able to release snippets to the media without the full context? That's what she said, that's what she did. So the big question remains, has Blake been manipulating the truth this whole time, playing victim while the evidence tells a different story, or is there any truth to her claims? The drama continues to unfold, and we'll be here to bring you every juicy detail. Don't forget to share your thoughts about this shocking situation. Has Blake's plan backfired, or is there more to the story? Stay tuned for more updates on this incredible celebrity drama.